Have you seen any commonalities to where the offense maybe hasn't been able to kind of get on track the way it's been? Is it a matter of just these defenses with, Vrabel and Flores, or are there any commonalities you're seeing just in these 3 games, you think?
Not really. I think it's a lot of it's self-inflicted stuff. And again, we're all in this thing together, whether it's coaches, the players. I feel like it's some of us just as a group, not executing at the level that we're expecting to execute at, and the standard that we have in the offensive room is sky high. So we just got to continue to clean those things up and get better.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Ed Valentine.
Mike, how are you? I
Great.
just
How you doing?
good. I have two for you. You had a lot of guys leave the game yesterday with injuries. Do you have anything at all, on guys like Cordale, on guys like JMS at this point?
Yeah, so we're still waiting for some of the imaging and stuff to come back from the docs, but I'd say the majority of those guys are going to be day to day. I wouldn't rule anybody out today, but we're still waiting on some imaging and some testing.
Okay. And the second thing I had for you is there is a sort of piggybacking on Evan a little bit. There is a narrative out there that Jaxson is regressing or not playing as well now than he was earlier in the year. How do you see that, in terms of his development?
Yeah, I don't see it that way. I mean, I think every game's going to be different. How we play each game is going to be different. How we think what's going to help us win the game is going to be different each week. And I think the last couple of weeks, we ran the ball almost 30 times. So when you run the ball 30 times, that's going to limit some opportunities for the pass game. And there's some games where we're going to have to, use the pass game a little bit more. So I think there's a way to win every game. Early in the week, you build a game plan around how you think you're going to win the game. And then you have the complements and things built off of that. And then in game, you got to go and adjust and find those solutions in game based on the stuff that you have and the stuff that you put in and the system within you're working within. So, I don't see that as a regression for Jaxson. Sure, maybe the numbers aren't what they had been in the past, but I think he's playing well. He's playing at a high level. There's certainly things that he can continue to improve on, and we've talked through those and as a group too. But when I look back at it, this is an 11-man operation on offense. So it's not about one person's production, or it's about the whole group and it's about the whole team. So whatever we got to do to win the game, that's what we're trying to do. And so, yeah, I mean, at some point, things like numbers and all that I'm not as concerned about the numbers, to be honest with you. We're looking to find a way to win a game, and Jackson's on board with that. He understands that, and so that's kind of where we're at.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Ryan Dunleavy.
Hey, Mike,
Hey, Ron.
does what you said about day to day and imaging and all apply to Andrew Thomas too? Ed just didn't single him out, so he's obviously a big one.
Yeah, he'd be in that group.
Okay. Um, Obviously, you've been in this spot before where these late season games kind of take on different meaning for the fans than people in the building. This game's going to get a lot of attention this week because of the NFL draft and the number one pick. Do you address that with the guys to block that out? Is there any form of like rallying cry in that? Like everybody's treating the loser of this game as the winner, except the people in the building. Uh, is there any way to use that to your advantage, I guess?
No, really, the only messaging today was just focusing on today and the corrections from yesterday's game. How we can stay consistent, how we can be more detailed, and then really the main message was, let's not leave the building today without getting some of those things corrected so that we can move forward, turn the page, and put together our best game plan and effort versus the Raiders.
Understood. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Dan Duggan.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, Dan.
Just curious from game plan perspective. Obviously, it was very run heavy on early downs. Why not mix in more play action if you're gonna establish that with the run?
Yeah, I think there was a time and a place for those and those like calculated shots. I just felt like in the flow of the game, the runs were so efficient and effective that, why kind of stop with them? So I felt like we were getting really good production on first down, which was really to me the biggest part of the game because we talked about it and I even mentioned it in a few of my press conferences earlier was to get back on track also second and long, staying out of those situations. So if we can stay positive on first down, and keep us into favorable second downs and favorable third downs, and that would give us an opportunity to continue to be successful. I think the run actions kind of came to us a little bit later, but we used a couple of them. I think one of them we ended up getting sacked on it. But we want to mix those in, no question, and we'll continue to do that and marry those things up. But the way that kind of package ended up evolving for the game, quite frankly, I didn't really see myself using it as much as we really did because of the early success it had. I had a few more different personnel groups in mind to jump into, but it was so successful early. We kind of hung with it and had some good compliments built off of it. So that's really kind of where my mind went in the flow of the game.
Gotcha. And then one other injury question, because we haven't asked you about it since it happened on Saturday. What went into putting Cave on IR? It seemed like he was working to get back. So just curious.
Yeah, he was working really hard, and I know he wanted to get back for the group, just medically, and just talking with him, he really wasn't there yet to be back for the last couple games. So it just didn't make sense to put him at risk for potentially a longer term injury and kind of redoing it. So he battled. Everyone was working hard, and he's working hard to get back, but it'll just be after the season.
Gotcha. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks.
Patty Traina.
Hey, Mike, how are you?
Hey, Patty.
I have a couple for you, kind of related. Jaxson, when he came in, I believe he had done a lot of his work from the shotgun. And obviously in the NFL, you have to be able to work from the gun. You also have to work under center. Can you just talk a little bit about the challenges of working with a quarterback who maybe doesn't have as much experience working under center and just, what you go through with him?
The only thing is I wouldn't say it's a challenge. I think it's probably a little bit different for him, but he enjoys it. He likes it. He likes being under center. And that was one of the things we talked through over the bye week was, that we were building in some tendencies. Hey, we're in the gun. It's probably a pass. We're under center. It's probably a run. Okay. So how do you mix and match, being under center and still be able to have, your run action game, your naked game out of that? Or in the pistol, just those type of things. So there's ways to kind of supplement it. And yeah, we know Jaxson spent the majority of his time in gun, but I think it does give you an advantage if you're able to go under center or be in the pistol. I know the run lanes and the run angles are a little bit different than you are in gun when you're offset. So there's a few things that in our mind kind of go into it. But for Jaxson and his development, like he feels comfortable underneath. He likes it. He likes the play action. He likes how it influences the second level and third level linebackers. So that gives us an advantage, and he's continuing to grow with it.
And what have you seen, though, from him working under center? You mentioned the comfort level, obviously. Mm-hmm. Where can he still grow in that regard?
Yeah, no question. I think the run action fakes, getting his head and eyes around quick, finding the flat defender, the hook curl defender. I think just the fundamentals of it are continuing to grow, and you're seeing that the more comfortable he gets with being under center and using those fakes. Yeah, you turn your back to the defense, but now the defense has to respect the run. Again, when we're running the ball at a higher tick than normal, that's going to make those guys step up, and now you can use those run actions to Dan's question earlier. And so I think it's just mixing and matching those and being really smart in how we shape the game plan and how we can complement each other in both the run and the pass.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
We'll take two more. Paul Schwartz.
Hey, Mike, how you doing?
Hey, Paul.
Hey, I got a couple for you. You obviously had a relationship with Jaxson as an offensive coordinator. Brian Daboll had a relationship with him as a head coach and, a quarterback guy also. When you took over as the interim head coach, did you see the need to change your relationship in any way? I mean, obviously you had a relationship before, but to change it more intense, more distant, more head coachy, anything like that?
No, that's one thing I'm most proud of is keeping our consistency with our meeting times. Sometimes I spend the majority of the time in the offensive room in general while Tim's kind of going through the installations, and I'm still standing up there and installing stuff. But I do have to make sure I dedicate some time to the other phases as well. That's just me, just time management part of it. But I'm always in the quarterback's room and talking with those guys and continue with our routine in terms of meeting with him, going over the game plan, going over the answers, post practice, during practice, making sure I get some of those adjustments and stuff done. So I'd say, sure, it's changed a little bit just based on the nature of the role right now, but it's really like wide scale hasn't changed that much. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. As far as the last two games for Jaxson, there have been rookies who have been asked to take a seat sometimes and say, I'm not saying I'm advocating this, but I'm saying it has happened in the past. Okay, let's let the rookie maybe sit these out. I don't imagine you have thought of that in any way, shape, or form. You can tell me if you have. And would there be anything to sitting Jaxson these games, or and maybe taking a step back, or do you think full throttle ahead? These two games are going to be great for him.
Yeah, Paul, I'd try to go with the latter of that. We're full throttle ahead. Jackson's running the ship. That's yeah, no question about that.
And one other thing you mentioned yesterday when you were asked about some defensive things, and you said, "Well, I was doing this, I was doing that, I was, I mean, is it part of the head coach that you're learning these things that especially in game, you're the play caller and you can't oversee everything all the time, and is that a great challenge?"
Yeah, it's a great challenge, and you're absolutely right. And you have to have great trust in the coaches and the coordinators on the other phases to make sure that they're dialed in and make sure they don't need me. Like that's really the most important thing. Is I just want to make sure I'm an asset to them if they have a question or if they're, making sure we're all on the same wavelength in terms of how I see the game going as I'm managing the game. Even though I'm still talking to the offense, I'm still kind of got one ear to the defense, their communication and then hitting them between drives as well. So there's certainly some communication that I got to juggle, but it's part of the role. And it's fun. It's been great. The guys have been awesome in responding to it, and the communication, the dialogue that we've had has been excellent. So hats off to the guys upstairs for number one, keeping me on track with the game management part of it, and then just the communication and dialogue with the coaches, offensively, defensively, special teams. It's been really clear and really clean.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Yep.
Last one, Charlotte Carroll.
Hey, Mike, how's it going?
Hey, Charlotte.
You guys have been pretty fortunate just to have like the line consistency all season. How did you see Jaxson handle yesterday with three of his starters out? And I guess what do you do differently, or do you do anything differently for a rookie QB in that situation, especially when it's someone like your left tackle who's such a stalwart?
Yeah, we've had this the situation has come up in the past for us. I think it's just we have a lot of trust in the guys that are stepping in. So, they have a great deal of responsibility in terms of understanding the game plan and going out there and execution. But our level of trust in the players that we put out there is sky high. So, there really didn't feel like we needed to skip a beat in terms of how we played the game, or at least our intent for how we wanted to start the game and get into the game. Now, obviously, you want to adjust based on how things are going, or maybe a certain player is, doing really well or struggling a little bit. How can we help? But didn't feel like that throughout the game. And so I just, I think the way the game kind of went, and it got right down to it, 3 minutes and 20 seconds left with two timeouts at the -40. You're 25 yards from game time field goal, 60 yards from a game winner with the ball in Jaxson Dart's hands. I mean, I'll take that any day of the week.